By this point, DeepSeek is nothing but a serious propaganda machine, and it's an impressive copycat. Obviously, a lot of people are falling for the hype and what sort of a groundbreaking series of development it has had, which I honestly will give some credit to because it did make things better in certain ways, but it's not as groundbreaking in the sense that it revolutionized AI. But of course, here we're to talk about what exactly the CCP is planning on doing with the AI chat program and some of the overhyped aspects of it. By the way, the memes are just funny. ChatCCP, we got this one here, DeepSeek, we got fishing out of the other person's fish bucket, whatever that is. But just to talk about ChatCCP in a more objective sense, it is not what people are making it out to be. It's not the Sputnik moment because, well, a lot of stuff people are finding out, they really just stole it. I like to think of the ChatCCP program as the really good copycat version of an iPhone 14. The intention is to get you to love the CCP in return, by extension of what we've seen so far with RedNote, Xiaohongshu, with TikTok, with DeepSeek now, is that you should really love products from China because they're so good. And yes, it is a CCP effort because this company does not get to where it does right now without the support and the backing. This focus on the effort of creating AI in the actual, it's a competition, right, against the United States. And in fact, the head of this DeepSeek AI program met with Chinese Premier Li Qiang in Beijing prior. And so this company is not just some simple hobby enthusiast AI lover program side project. In some of the photos we see here, that DeepSeek calls itself an open AI product. In fact, it is adopted through a process called distillation, which is used in AI to essentially copy another model's system and allow it to kind of convert that into to build upon on top of it. Now, people argue a lot about the ethical side of distillation, and oh yeah, ChatGPT does this with other data, so they stole it. So in turn, the stealing from DeepSeek is justified. Let me talk about that later, but for now, just it's a copycat. When a Japanese user tried to ask the DeepSeek program to make an obscene novel, well, the program says it's a violation of OpenAI's content policy. Now, DeepSeek isn't the only tech copycat that China has done in the past. After 2019, they were so focused on defeating Microsoft in the operating system space. For example, the Harmony OS, which was built by Huawei, supposedly to replace phone operating systems, with the Kylin operating system, which is supposed to replace the actual Windows operating system. Both of them were supposed to revolutionize Chinese technology, but they were both built on Linux. So this idea that China can create something new, actually innovate, is not there. We have not seen Chinese innovation. We've only seen Chinese copycat stealing for the past 30 to 40 years. So let's talk about the actual facts, right? Fact number one is that no, DeepSeek did not make it through this whole process with just $6 million. According to SemiAnalysis, which proved my speculation about this whole thing, quote here, DeepSeek's price and efficiencies caused a frenzy this week, with the main headline being that $6 million figure training cost of DeepSeek v3. This is wrong. This is akin to the pointing to a specific part of a bill of materials for a product and attributing it to the entire cost. The pre-training cost is a very narrow portion of the total cost. And you got to remember here, right? When the CCP sets a target on something, they will provide unlimited amount of state support, be in the forms of a tax break. You can have state subsidies. You can, in some cases, have blank checks in the form of investment injections, different rounds of financing, because a lot of these financial heads, the big hedge funds, the big investment firms in China are backed by a CCP faction or a family. So in the case of Xiaohongshu, for example, and in the case of TikTok, they have very deep ties to the CCP financial links. So that's why they have a lot of money. In the case of AI, it's the same thing, right? And we can't discount the fact that you are essentially going up an entire state. We call them state companies, but really you're going up against an entire government as a private company. Now, you could argue that, sure, why not have the US government provide subsidies for American AI firms? You could do that. But to what extent are you really matching the effort of the Chinese Communist Party when it comes to subsidizing? Because they weaponize everything. Everything is a process of trying to defeat the enemy. And we'll talk about the market competition side in a bit, but just keep that in mind. The second is the GPU situation. So when they came out and said that, wow, we're training this on subpar or used or old CPUs or GPUs because they cannot get the newest ones under sanction, well, they're lying because, again, according to SemiAnalysis, It says that, quote, we believe they have access to around 50,000 Hopper GPUs, which is not the same as 50,000 H100. These are NVIDIA chips. Now, what they are different variations of the H100 NVIDIA has made in compliances to different regulations, such as H800, H20, with only the H20 being currently available to Chinese model providers today. Note that H800s have the same computational power as H100s, but lower network bandwidth. Also in this headline here, Bloomberg reveals that the US is investigating whether or not Singaporean companies are playing that third party of transferring NVIDIA chips to Chinese firms. So they are getting, well, essentially they're not using backward old used GPUs to do this. They're actually using, top of the line stuff to do this as well. Now let's talk about the model itself. It's very clear that it's a copycat using ChatGPT, using OpenAI's data model. And no matter how they spin it, saying that, well, the DeepSeek model is on par with GPT 3.5 or 4, what essentially is that it used a distillation process in AI to learn and to essentially take what GPT already has and build a little bit on top of that. Again, like I mentioned earlier, right? Some people say this whole distillation thing is not illegal. It is illegal in the sense that it violates OpenAI's term of service, and because DeepSeek openly admits that it uses OpenAI stuff. And you got to think of this, right? If you were to do this, privately, or if you're somebody, a no name that was doing this to steal from others, it's kind of like pirating softwares, right? If you're an individual doing it, obviously you won't get into much trouble. But if you're in an entire industry in a country, a direct competitor, and you're loudly saying that, yes, we did this, or, well, you're not openly admitting to this, but your actions show that you did this, that's going to raise a lot of problems from escalating it from an individual level to that of a state level. And the worst part is, after what they did with that, is they're trying to win over market share. They're trying to destroy free market practice. Think of it like this way, right? They steal your idea, they manufacture, they package it into something, oh, it's open source, it's free, it's cheaper. Then they sell it back to your market. It's your idea. And then everyone is going to start purchasing that because it's free, it's cheaper, it's more user-friendly, whatever the case may be. What you've essentially done is you've destroyed your own innovation in the process of justifying it's open, it's free. Do you see the problem with that in a free market competition? You're not really competing. What you're doing is you're using outside methods to boost the popularity of this program, not based on the fact that it was groundbreaking in innovation, but it was based on the fact that it's groundbreaking in copying and providing a cheaper but stolen idea. So that means what China has been doing, think of the example with Huawei, they essentially bankrupt and took down Nortel, which is a Canadian telecom company, took all of their technology and innovation, and then started using their innovation around the world, but at a cheaper price. So essentially defeated all of the other competitors because they were able to offer prices at a much cheaper rate than profit would allow for any other company. And if those governments in those companies do not subsidize their own innovation and whatnot, then they get defeated and the Chinese ones go in. So using state resources to undercut price competition in a free market is their way to conquer that entire system. Think of it like this. If Pythagoras, who obviously has the Pythagorean theorem, solved the degrees in a triangle, and then some Chinese guy comes along and says, okay, I can prove that this theorem works. It can solve all sorts of triangular degrees. And then he says, well, I'm going to offer it for free. And then I'm going to make it better because now it's called some, I don't know, Wang's theorem or something. But the original idea is from Pythagoras, right? What you essentially have done is you stole his idea. Maybe you took his manuscript and then you called it open source. And you're now selling it for, I don't know, $5 or for free or whatever. It doesn't make you the innovator. It doesn't make you the groundbreaker, right? It doesn't make sense like that. There's also no such thing as a free lunch in this world. There's only two reasons why something is free. For one, they want to get something out of you, and they're not willing to talk about it openly. And for two, it's out of the kindness of their heart. How rare are these kindness in our world today? It turns out, well, seems like the CCP is always doing the first one. They want something from you. This headline here says, Wiz Research uncovers exposed DeepSeek database leaking sensitive information, including chat history. Sounds familiar? Well, TikTok did that, right? You can access their data from Beijing. Their parent company, ByteDance, has access to American data from a backend. They don't admit it, but that's what they do. They steal your data. Now, people are going to be like, well, I've not got nothing sensitive to be stolen of. There's nothing to be worried. I'm just a nobody. Well, in that case, why not just upload things like personal address, phone numbers, email address, all your sensitive passwords, bank account numbers, specifically the 4 pins that allows me to access it. How about your social security number or whatever the equivalent of that number is in your country? Who your best friends are? Tell me everything about your secret chat with your friend, your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, family members, whatever. Tell me about your medical history, who your most favorite person is in this world, and whoever you like to visit on a Sunday, or what restaurants, or maybe your favorite place to stay, your favorite artist, anything. Okay, just tell it to me. I'll keep it a secret. You can email it to me, and you can find the email address, and I'll keep it a secret. It's definitely much better than telling that to the Chinese government, is it not? Or maybe that's your thing. You like to tell these very confidential information to anyone that you think is worth your time for the sake that it's free and it's open source, if that's your thing. Yeah, let me know, because I'll be happy to keep your data safe for you. All right, that's it today for the episode on the DeepSeek scam. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like, comment below your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, bye-bye.